What's up, guys? Welcome to the breakdown of Graverobber in Darkest Dungeon 2. This video will be broken down into 3 sections: roles, skills, and builds. Roles will contain general information about what Graverobber is capable of and how she's best utilized. Skills will take an in-depth look at each of her combat skills, one at a time, and builds will cover a couple different examples of how to build her and a party around her. My name is Parkattack. Let's get going. Graverobber is a very versatile damage dealer, being able to dish out damage in several different ways. With a slew of both melee and ranged attacks, she can be utilized in the front ranks as well as the back. She also has several skills that move her back and forth through the ranks, making her one of the most mobile characters. This opens up a lot of different options for dealing damage, including staying back and dealing range damage, moving up front for melee, or a combination of the two. Besides just dealing damage, Graverobber has a few survival tricks up her sleeve as well. With 2 separate self-healing options, 2 different ways to enter stealth, and several ways to add dodge tokens, she's more durable than she first appears. So much so, in fact, that it's entirely possible to build her as an off-tank, considering she even comes with a taunt skill. When it comes to weaknesses, the first thing that comes to mind is her complete lack of any type of direct support skills. While she's incredibly self-reliant, she doesn't do much for the rest of her party members, aside from clearing corpses and occasionally drawing fire with her taunt. Her standard damage isn't that great either, as she relies heavily on crits for high damage output. If you can build up her crit chance, she hits like a truck, but if she can't consistently crit, her damage is pretty medium. Aside from that, she can handle herself in almost any situation, and when done correctly, can be one of the most enjoyable characters to play. Pick to the Face is a single target melee attack that can be used from anywhere except rank 4 and can hit the front 2 ranks. This attack ignores block tokens, dealing full damage to the target but leaving the token intact. When upgraded, it gains 50% crit chance against targets with a combo token. As you'll see with a few more of Graverobber's skills, this is a reoccurring upgrade, further amplifying her affiliation with crits. Pick to the Face is one of Graverobber's most reliable sources of damage, even though it can still hit as low as 4 when upgraded. This is because it doesn't require any setup, like some of her other harder hitting skills do, and it can be used from almost anywhere. Thrown Dagger is a single target ranged attack that can be used from every rank except the first and can hit the same. While this attack only deals a meager 3 to 7 damage once upgraded, it receives the same crit bonus as Pick to the Face when a combo token is present. On top of this, if attacking from stealth, it also ignores dodge and guard tokens, adding even more value. Despite its initial low damage, this skill receives a big bump to crit, raising it to 30% once upgraded. While it might not be consistently as useful as Pick to the Face, there's definitely potential here if you can get the added bonuses to align. Flashing Daggers is a ranged AoE attack that can be used from every rank except the first and hits the middle 2 ranks. To be quite honest, I can't think of a real use for this skill besides using it as a way to remove tokens. Dealing only 3 to 5 damage with a 10% crit rate when updated, this attack is underwhelming in several ways. If I were to guess, I'd say a buff is coming to this skill soon. Simply adding a secondary effect once upgraded would at least garner some consideration for this skill, but as it stands now, I don't see any reason to use it unless you absolutely have to. Poison Dart is a single target ranged attack that can be used from all ranks except the first and can hit any rank on the enemy's side. This skill deals a moderate amount of flat damage and applies Blight, reaching 4 damage per turn once upgraded, and is the only dot skill available to Graverobber. This is also her 3rd skill that receives a 50% crit increase with a combo token after upgrading, further increasing the damage potential. With the moderate flat damage, decent dot, and crit chance increase, the damage of this skill is solid. On top of that, its wide range of available ranks to target and attack from make this skill one of the most versatile and well-rounded attacks in Graverobber's arsenal. Absinthe is a self-heal and self-buff that can be used from any rank and has a use limit of 3. This skill will heal 33% max health as long as Graverobber's health is already lower than 25%, and adds 3 dodge tokens as well as a speed token. Once upgraded, the dodge tokens are replaced by Dodge Plus, granting 75% chance to dodge as opposed to 50. This can obviously come in extremely handy when health is low, but can also be utilized at full health as the tokens still apply even when the heal doesn't. Having 3 stacks of 75% dodge is always great, and getting to take your turn early in the next round isn't anything to sneeze at either, making this a useful skill even without the heal. Dead of Night is a single target corpse clearing skill that also heals Graverobber and puts her into stealth. Once upgraded, the heal increases to 50% and also reduces stress by 1. This heal doesn't require low health like Absinthe does, so as long as there's a corpse available, all the benefits can be reaped. However, if Graverobber has a blind token on her and she happens to miss the corpse, she won't be healed or enter stealth, but the corpse will always be removed. Similar to Absinthe, this skill has a use limit of 3, but since the maximum amount of enemies in any encounter is 4, the limit only matters against enemies that can raise the dead, such as a bishop. Being able to clear corpses is useful on its own, and pairing that with a heal, stress heal, and stealth makes this skill extremely useful for Graverobber, granted there's at least 1 corpse to spare. Glint in the Dark is a ranged attack that can be used from the front 3 ranks and can target the same. This attack only deals a moderate amount of damage, but comes with several other effects to make it a solid utility attack. The base version of the skill ignores stealth and ignores 20% death blow resistance, both being pretty useful when needed. Once upgraded, if Graverobber is stealth, the death blow resistance is ignored altogether. This means that even if an enemy with death blow resistant isn't on death's door yet, Glint in the Dark can still deliver a death blow, rather than taking them down to 0. While this might take some setting up, and might only save you a turn or 2, it's a pretty cool effect that's unique to Graverobber, making this definitely a skill to consider. Lunge is a single target melee attack that can hit the front 3 ranks, but can only be used from the back 2 ranks, and moves Graverobber forward 2 ranks in the process. When upgraded, this is her hardest hitting single target attack, dealing up to 11 damage and having a base crit rate of 30%. On top of all that damage, if Graverobber can manage to attack from stealth, Lunge will also ignore all dodge and block tokens. This might seem overpowered at first glance, but when practiced, you start to see the natural limitations. Lunge can only be used from the back 2 ranks, and moves her up 2 ranks when used. This means that unless she's moved back by other means, she'll have to spend her next turn setting up another lunge by moving back, essentially adding a natural cooldown. There are several ways to work around this mechanic, such as moving other party members up in order to move her back, but without any teammates' help, this skill will take 2 turns to execute. Pirouette is a 2-target AoE attack that hits both of the front ranks, can only be used from the front 2 ranks, and moves Graverobber all the way back to rank 4. As you can probably guess, this skill works extremely well alongside Lunge, seeing as Lunge moves her up to the front, and Pirouette moves her to the back. There is, however, one thing preventing Graverobber from continuously lunging and pirouetting over and over and over again: a 2-turn cooldown. When upgraded, Pirouette deals 6 to 8 damage to each target and has a decent crit rate of 15%. After being moved to the back rank, Graverobber will also receive a Dodge Plus token and a Daze token, forcing her to take her turn last next round. While this is obviously not a good thing, it's almost not even worth thinking about, as the pros easily outweigh the cons in this skill. Repartee is a self-buff that can be used from any rank, adds taunt tokens as well as dodge tokens, but requires stealth to use. This is an interesting skill for Graverobber, as it allows her to briefly become an off-tank by drawing focus with taunt and also dodging most incoming attacks. Seeing as she doesn't have as much health as an actual tank, this skill is best utilized once upgraded, which grants 3 stacks of dodge plus rather than just regular dodge tokens. Using her as a main tank might be possible, but the fact that Repartee requires stealth means that there will always be some downtime in between turns when she's reapplying. Shadow Fade is another self buff, but this time can only be used from the front 2 ranks. This is because it also moves Graverobber back 2 ranks while applying stealth in the process and adding a speed token once upgraded. This skill is her second source of stealth, but unlike Dead of Night, which requires corpses, this can be used whenever, as long as she's in one of the front 2 ranks. Once again, this skill goes great with Lunge, as it gets her into position and sets up Lunge's secondary ability to ignore dodge and block tokens when stealth. Seeing as Pirouette has a 2-turn cooldown, Shadow Fade can be used to get Graverobber to the back ranks whenever Pirouette can't. Graverobber's wide range of flexibility and complexity can make choosing the right skills and party members a daunting task. Not only does she have great synergy with several other characters, she has a lot of natural synergy between her own skills. Several of her skills share the same main purpose, but do so in a way that makes them useful in different circumstances. For example, Absinthe and Dead of Night both heal, but Absinthe requires less than 25% HP to heal, whereas Dead of Night requires a corpse. Dead of Night and Shadow Fade both apply stealth, but Dead of Night can be used anywhere and leaves her in place, whereas Shadow Fade must be used from the front and moves her back 2 ranks. Shadow Fade and Pirouette both move her to the back ranks, but Shadow Fade doesn't have a cooldown and Pirouette does. Because of all these similar but different effects, Graverobber can fit into almost any party and has an endless amount of build options. But, for the sake of this video, I'm going to pick 2 general builds to focus on: Dancing Damage Dealer and Ranged Off-Tank. As a dancer, the skills Graverobber will want to focus on are Lunge, Pirouette, and Shadow Fade. These are her 3 mobile skills that will allow her to move back and forth throughout the party as needed. Her last 2 skills can be basically anything, but I like to choose either Absinthe or Dead of Night for healing, and Poison Dart as an attack that you can use from almost anywhere when you want to stay in place. As far as party members go, dancers generally like to be with other dancers. This is because with all the movement going on in the party, you want characters that can move themselves when needed, in order to get themselves into position or to set someone else up. For tanks, Hellion and Man-at-Arms are the best candidates, as they both have skills that can move them up front where they're most comfortable. Leper should be avoided at all costs here, as he's extremely immobile and basically wants to stay in rank 1 as much as possible. For other damage dealers, Highwayman, Runaway, and Jester are all good picks, as they all have skills that move them forwards and backwards. Jester has even more value in dancing parties, as he can not only move himself, but also has skills that allow him to move other party members or give them an extra turn. If you want a healer, Occultist gets the edge over Plague Doctor when it comes to dancers. His heal can be used from any rank and has no cooldown, even though it's less reliable than Plague Doctor's healing. Runaway can also heal if the target is bleeding, which pairs really well with Occultist's heal, since there's a chance he'll cause bleeding. When it comes to stress healers, they're already built into the party pretty well, with Jester, Hellion, and Man-at-Arms already being strong candidates. Whenever Graverobber is focusing on damage, crit is the name of the game. Both Lunge and Thrown Dagger have relatively low base damage but very high crit rates. Compounding this by adding more crit through perks and trinkets is the most effective way to have her consistently dealing large chunks of damage. After crit, any other damage boost should be fine, whether it's ranged, melee, or both. Even though Lunge is her main damage source as a dancer, Pirouette is a ranged attack, which benefits greatly from ranged damage boosts if you can't get your hands on anything else. Aside from crit and damage, the last thing to look for stat-wise is anything that has a chance to proc stealth. Even though she already has a few different ways to stealth herself, several of her attacks gain bonuses when used from stealth, so any extra chance to apply it is valuable. If dancing isn't your thing, you can try out Graverobber's makeshift support role as a ranged off-tank. For this build, you'll want to park Graverobber in either the 3rd or 4th rank and focus on Poison Darts and Throwing Dagger for damage. The Dead of Night Repartee combo is essential to this build, as it allows you to clear corpse, heal, and gain stealth in one turn, then taunt and gain dodge plus tokens the next. For your last 1 or 2 skill options, Shadow Fae is a great choice in case you get bumped up front and need to get back into position, and also adds stealth for a follow-up repartee. Glint in the Dark is another strong utility here if she's parked in rank 3, as it allows her to attack stealth enemies and ignore some or all death blow resistance. Since this is essentially a support role, most damage dealing party members will work well with her here, as long as they're not moving her around too much. As far as tanks go, once again, any of them will do fine. Just park them in rank 1, and when they need a breather, use repartee. Plague Doctor is a great healer to bring along, and can be used as a stress healer as well, but you might also want to consider bringing Jester, Hellion, or Man-at-Arms for additional stress heals. When prioritizing stats, you'll first want to focus on range damage boosts, as all of your attacks will be ranged. After that, max health and resistances come in handy, for whenever an attack gets through one of her dodges. Once again, stealth procs are useful, but this time in order to use repartee more often. Finally, trinkets that provide extra actions when healed are rare, but extremely useful for this build. If it procs, this essentially allows Graverobber to use Dead of Night and repartee in the same turn, which can help her team get out of many sticky situations. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Once again, my name is Pickaxe. Peace.